Welcome back, guys. We're in the second half of the full court version of hitting the hard court, and Fonz is still with us. Hurricane hasn't hit him yet, and
Nope, nope.
whatever nice weather you're having over there, bud, I need you to send it this way because we're locked in a windstorm right now.
I mean, we got lots of wind too. Plus, there's a nasty cold going around campus, so I'm still recovering from that.
Oh,
Yeah,
fun.
I know, right?
No, not at all. Not fun at all. I actually try to stay away from sick people, but I'm out constantly around them because of my real job, my
Exactly.
day job of working in a pharmacy. So handing out that all day. But nonetheless, hopefully you and your campus get a nice, speedy, complete recovery.
I mean, it's supposed to be 60s tomorrow, so that should be nice.
You guys got a good 10 degrees on us in the West
Yeah,
Coast, which is very rare.
yeah.
Um, And speaking of keeping things in one area, or not keeping things in one area, we're back and we're talking now. It's All-Star Weekend, and that means trade talk, trade talk, trade talk.
It's
This is where some people turn fool's gold into that nice shiny platinum. Some guys think they're getting mountains of money on a great trade and they end up with fool's gold themselves. And sometimes there's nothing happening at all because some guys are just comfortable like that. And we've already discussed the major trade or major at the moment that the Raptors have made in the first half of the post of this podcast.
mhm.
Let's talk about, Franz, you want to talk about Joel Okafor going down to the Big Easy.
I mean, he probably. I mean, I think the rumor was that he was going to, um, but I don't think it's happening anymore. But I just think like it's just a weird situation with the Sixers. Like they're not treating him the best, and they haven't been treating their players the best.
No, not
Like
at all.
like Nerlens in early in the season, like he didn't want to play, and they just refused to trade him.
Hmm.
And now it's the same thing with Okafor, but I think a lot of it is just like fear of making a mistake with like Colangelo and the rest of the executives. Like they don't. Like I think their thinking is, if we make a mistake and push the franchise back, it will look stupid for getting rid of Hinkie the way that they did. Like they're just so afraid of not making progress and like ruining the progress that the franchise made this year.
I can kind of see that.
Yeah,
Years ago, they took Michael Carter Williams, and he wasn't as great of a prospect as we had thought initially.
yeah,
Got a little bit injured, and then moved over to Milwaukee after that, and turned into a great product for a team that essentially came out of nowhere and made the playoffs. Um, of course, that was in an Eastern Conference that was sort of developing into a all of our teams are over 500 for the first time type of conference. But there was that. Then they looked at the then injury plagued Joel Embiid. Okafor was also injured before that. I mean, every single number one pick that they've gotten has sort of had this lingering injury that has kept them from being able to see their players' picks and their full potentials. On top of that, years before that, Andrew Bynum, a guy that was an amazing asset for the Los Angeles Lakers, went over to Philadelphia for more money, and they just sort of sat him, and then he went bowling and started squatting strippers, and then that was that. So I think
exactly.
I think it's more within the organization itself, as you're saying. I don't think it has anything to do with the talent. I I think that they're doing a great job of wait and see. Hashtag trust the process. And I don't know. with Okafor. Okafor was always a great college prospect, but personally, going into the draft, I knew that there was some lingering injury in one of his legs and that he wasn't going to be as great of a product right away. Some teams just want to rush it and try to put the player on the court as much as possible. Philadelphia actually might be in the right here.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, like, if he's traded, then he's traded. I don't think I don't know if any team would necessarily want him because he's an old school five who like needs
Plays-
the ball, needs all the touches, doesn't
Yep.
defend. If anything, he'll be like Al Jefferson Jr. But like Al Jefferson just like came up during a time when people could still use somebody like him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, unless Okafor develops like more shooting or goes to a team that has a lot of spacing, then I don't think he'll be.
Sort of like an Aldridge or Pau Gasol over in San Antonio.
Yeah, but like, see, the thing with
Okay.
Aldridge and Pau Gasol is that they have other skills.
All he'd really have to do, if you were Okafor, he just have to average maybe 7 boards a game.
Yeah.
He could come off the bench, start there, work his way up. And that would be a great asset for a team like the Pelicans, who, without Anthony Davis, are sorely missing rebounds on both ends of the floor.
Exactly.
I mean, you got a guy that needs more touches. If he increases his defensive rebounding, it'll increase the amount of possessions that his team would have. That would increase his possessions overall. I don't know. I think it might be a decent fit in New Orleans because their front court rotation isn't that deep, and it always centers around Davis. So with their on the defensive end, which is what they sort of thrive on, they thrive on defense to offense. So maybe just maybe adding him to that rotation might be a little bit better.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't think adding Okafor would like make them like significantly better. Like,
not significantly, but I think it would be just enough to where you can notice the difference and say, "Oh, that's the direction that I should head if I were a player." And he's in his second to last year of his contract. I think he has 2 years left on his contract.
maybe, I don't know.
Someone's going to fact check me on that in a bit. Moving on. Let's talk some point guards for a second, because we've been talking about big men for the last hour or so, and we'll get to some small ball action because I mean that's where the league is at right now. And we're looking at a team like Minnesota, who's always been tinkering, been hindered, and looking a little bit at like the team that's sort of developing, about to get better, but then doesn't because of 1 or 6 injuries to several key players in their starting rotation. And one of them is perpetually Ricky Rubio.
My guy.
And you want to talk about another team that's either on the edge or on the outside looking in Detroit. Reggie Jackson, who proved to the league what fool's gold looks like, going from Oklahoma City to Detroit, carrying that team to an 8th seed, and then being non-existent in the playoffs, and back to a subpar season with Detroit still in the 8th seed. So I don't know. You're looking at these two guys right now. Detroit needs to make a move in order to move themselves up into the Eastern Conference standings. You have a few teams that are in need of a backup point guard. I know one in particular who we've been sort of talking about over and over again for the last 3.5 weeks. That being Cleveland. But let's not talk about Cleveland for a second. Let's talk about Boston, the other team that is coming out of the East. And you were asking me this a little bit earlier. Who would you rather have, for those of you listening? If you were to trade for a backup point guard, would you rather have Rubio or would you have Reggie Jackson in the rotation behind Isaiah Thomas?
Oh, give me. I am a staunch Rubio supporter. Like I have loved Rubio like since he came to the league, and I draft him in fantasy basketball almost every year. Um, because the thing with Rubio is that if you give him the proper team around him, he'll be fantastic. Okay, sure, he doesn't score, but he has court vision like no other player, and he's a great defender.
See, I think we've been talking about putting a great team around players for a while now. Ricky Rubio being one of those players and saying, "Oh, he needs this. He needs this." I don't think that he needs more. That he should fit in with other players, and I think that. Okay, you want to talk about players with great court vision that don't score a lot? The last great one to do that, White Chocolate, Jason Williams.
No, that's Rondo. Get it wrong.
Rondo was a little bit different. Rondo was a pass first guy. He definitely leaned on his team, but it wasn't until I think it wasn't until just before the big three came over where you started to see that he just had to have scorers. I mean, you don't record the assists without the actual scoring. So he was scoring a lot more before he became the assist machine that we know and love today.
Maybe.
But
Well,
Williams,
come on, we don't love him anymore.
I think I think
If
the most
anything, he's hated.
I still have some liking. I don't know. I wouldn't want to call it a huge love, but I would like pat him on the back and say, "Good job, buddy," and send him on his way. Kind of like, but it's not as bad as I would rather have Jackson on my team because court vision and awareness aside, you're still gonna have to score the ball. You still have to score the ball in order to win some of these games, and that has been one of the things that Boston has been missing. They've been missing someone that can more readily score in the second and third quarters, mainly when backing up when Isaiah Thomas isn't as hot, because we know that he's a fourth quarter machine. But you're still missing the other three quarters, and the second and third quarter would be a great time for someone like Reggie Jackson to come in, score 15 off the bench, keep the momentum going while the rest of the team plays very staunch defense.
Okay, but why did Reggie Jackson leave Oklahoma City? Because he wasn't a starter, because he wasn't getting enough minutes, right?
Right.
So
And
if he goes to Boston, where he'll be like the second guy again and coming off the bench, and he won't like that. It's been proven one time and time again that he does not have the best personality. And Rubio is just a massive ray of sunshine, and he will make everybody happier because he's just a happy guy.
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I would argue rings or possibility of rings versus I mean he would get a little bit less in payment. They'll probably have to renegotiate his contract. But that thought of being embedded in history as being part of the team that took down the beast in the East, which is Cleveland, and essentially went on to win a championship. I think that he will be the one key piece, if we're talking about key pieces now, that I would rather have in my backcourt. I couldn't see that being done with Rubio.
Yeah, but like I don't know, I just don't believe in Jackson wanting to actually win a ring, because if he wanted to do that, why didn't he just stay in Oklahoma City? And like that was the best opportunity for him. Like Detroit wasn't. He knew that Detroit wasn't going to be a championship team.
Well, there's the other thing. If you think that he doesn't believe in championships, it's only because that he's a player that he wants to be able to have the ball in his hand and be able to do something with it. He believes in the stats at the end of the day, and a stat type of player doesn't belong in starting on a championship team. No, but it will be definitely helpful in the second, third quarter where he scores the majority of his points. I mean, we're just talking about like fitting pieces of the puzzle here. And my piece of the puzzle, I would rather pursue Jackson than pursue Rubio, who has the ball an equal amount of time, if not slightly more, than Jackson, and has a higher assisted turnover ratio than Jackson does.
I don't know, man. Like I just don't like Reggie Jackson at all.
I can understand your disdain for him and your love for
Yeah.
Rubio, and I also love the kid from Spain. I just don't see the impact that he would have on a team which has one great scorer and four guys that play in the system.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I
Hopefully,
mean, they're the same age, and like, but like Rubio's stats are just way well. Like his advanced stats are better, like across the board.
why don't we do this? Why don't we leave this to the listeners? Who will be tuning into this probably 3 days after we've asked this question, but that's totally fine. Who would you rather have in your backcourt if you were the Celtics right now? Would you rather have Rubio? Would you rather have Jackson? Leave you with that thought. We're actually running out of time here, but I wanted to kind of throw this out there that the right now the standings over in the East are where there's basically a 5 game spread for the eighth seed in the East, the seventh and eighth seed. If you had to pick one team that could make a push, make the final spot, what team would that be
In the East, wait, in the East
in the East?
for the eighth seed, I want Milwaukee to do it just because I want more Greek freak in my life, and everybody needs more Greek freak in my life in their lives. Plus, they got Chris Middleton back, I think, this week after losing Jabari in hard-picking fashion. Shout out to Jabari. Hope for a speedy recovery. Um, but also, I also think we need more Waiters Island in our life. So, give me Miami.
All right, we'll leave it.
Plus, I like Dragic. Like, he's another guy I ride for. Like, I like him a lot.
I'll tell you what. Give me Miami and Cisco playing Unleash the Dragon in the background as they make the eighth seed.
Exactly.
All right, thanks for listening in, guys. Tune in next Tuesday, around 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, when we'll be back with another episode of Hitting the Hardcourt. We'll be going halftime. Today, this will be a short one. Thanks for tuning in today. Hope you guys enjoy your All-Star weekend. Go Swaggy Peas.